folks, my name is Jürgen, aka Nerd and Proud of It, and Destiny has brought you to my channel today to talk about if Magic the Gathering art actually is being killed off in its traditional way because of too many releases, or if it's still as valid and as awesome as it has always been. It's a thing that came to me when I was looking at this, the Wilds of Eldraine booster box. I saw a post by the artist. She's very talented. I like her art, but to me it looked a bit, generic, I have to say. And I don't mean this in a negative way, because I have that quite often. Looking at Phyrexia cards here, I got this Phyrexia bundle from Savannah Lion for my birthday. He sent it over and he was giving me the opportunity to check out the set, and I really liked it. I especially liked the oil foil cards, oil slick foil cards, right? I liked those, and they looked awesome. And some of these do look awesome, but they look very similar to me very often. I mean, this one, of course, not so much because it's a different style. This Rebel, for example, looks very recognizable, I think, and that's a token, but maybe it's because the artwork is bigger. This one, the Raptor, looks pretty cool as well, but then, the Anatomist, difficult word for me, very genetic as well. This, I don't even recognize what's going on, and to me, that's a bit of a shame. Look at the Addict here. I think if they only would have focused on the guy, it would have been much more clear somehow. This one also not very clear. And I had the same with Brothers War, and there were some cards in Brothers War that were, look, if you don't see the set symbol, it could be from the same set. It doesn't really have like a feeling to it anymore sometimes. And there were certain sets where that was the case. I especially appreciate Kaldheim, for example, or Ikoria, which I think the art often was spot on. But for Brothers War here as well, I got this box from my brother for Christmas, so we could play against each other, just opening a couple of boosters. Very generic. Let's get a couple of more Brothers War cards here. This one, for example, the Swiftfoot boots, very iconic to me somehow. I recognize right away what's going on. I definitely right away see the same for the Bonesaw. Okay, this is the card, and of course the treatment is different. I get it. It's the retro stuff, but in general, I think the artwork is very generic. Just look at this, an old air elemental, which has been around since alpha, of course. And of course, I'm biased because I grew up with these cards. Maybe people who grow up with the Sentinel have a different feeling, but it just doesn't feel as iconic anymore and as clear and as defined. I don't know. Same goes for if you look at this Tactician and what's going on, or the Vanguard. It's just not the same. There's so much going on sometimes. And look at the epicness. I'm missing the epicness. I'm missing the fantasy feel. If you look at the Vanguard and the Keldon Warlord, or even if you look at the Fall of Krog, which I think is one of the better pieces of artwork, because you see the little group of adventurers fighting the dragon there. I can appreciate that one. That comes into the category epic. But the Keldon Warlord, for example, it's just too awesome. And then Magic continued like that for quite a while. Even if you look at Ice Age, these cards, if you look at them, everybody recognizes them, and they are really iconic. Vraska's Fall, and again, I appreciate the art. I think the artist did a great job there, but it's just not standing out as much as some of the old art, like even with Ice Age still. Or if you look at the blue card here, it doesn't matter which one. Let's just take one. And if you look at a little later in the Magic the Gathering history, Prophecy, Rhystic Study, very popular card. I think it's a $20 card at the moment. Still, it was up to $40 until it was reprinted into the ground. It's a good card, but look at the artwork, which is very clear. You see what's going on, and you see the Phyrexia card, and it's just not portraying as much of a story somehow. It seems so generic, and I know the art nowadays is done digitally. Maybe that has an influence as well, on my opinion. And I'm an old fart, so yeah, it's my opinion. If you love the new art, fair enough. Just have a look at, for example, what Flesh and Blood does here. I got 2 Flesh and Blood cards. They are much more violent. They are portraying gore and blood. They are definitely looking for more of an edge, and that was something that attracted people to Flesh and Blood a lot in the beginning. And there are generic cards as well, of course, but it does quite a good job of keeping cards recognizable. And if I look over a pile of cards from Magic the Gathering, I often just don't see which one is which, and not anymore, at least. I used to. Sorcery, of course, a whole different story. I talked about Sorcery a lot. A lot of people backed it because of the art. Everything is hand drawn, and you see it. Just look at this here by Dan Seagrave, one of my favorite pieces of the Sorcery TCG art. I really love this one. It just tells a story. it's the Kraken attacking, and yeah, it's just a whole thing in one picture, and that's what Magic the Gathering used to have as well. I think some sets still do have that. Like I said, if I look back at Kaldheim or Ikoria, or for example, I recently looked at my Time Spiral set, which is, I think, from 2004, 2005, something like that. Very iconic cards in there, and recognizable cards as well. If I look at the Lord of the Rings set, I think one of the things the Lord of the Rings set has going for it is the artwork. And that may be the case because it's recognizable characters. I had that with Dungeons and Dragons as well. If I saw Drizzt, for example, or Gwen Wiwar, as you see on my playmat here as well, of course, the Forgotten Realms stuff. Very cool, very iconic, a little bit edgy. Epic is the word I always like to describe artwork with. If it's an epic fantasy piece, that's why Frank Frazetta is so popular. I mean, Magic the Gathering has released the Secret Lair with his cards. Sorcery has a couple of cards in the alpha set, and I think in the beta as well, from Frank Frazetta, and it's just looking awesome. And that's that high fantasy art from back in the 80s, and I really like that, and Magic started out like that as well. And of course stuff has to evolve, and I don't want to diss on this piece of artwork. The box art we started out the video with from Wilds of Eldraine, I believe the artist is called Magali Villeneuve. She's very talented in my opinion. I love some of her art. This just and I guess she gets art direction from Wizards of the Coast, so no disrespect at all, but it just seems very generic sometimes. And sometimes it's so unique and detailed and cool and tells a story. And this, and I mean, box art maybe has to be generic so it appeals to everybody. I get that from a marketing point of view, but it's just not. Where are the big heroes, male or female? I don't care. Where are the iconic creatures? Where are the very iconic instances that look totally distinguished from everything else in the set? I miss that kind of stuff. It's maybe it's me. Maybe I'm getting old, but yeah, it's still possible. And I know I heard people talk about the fact that Sorcery was appealing to a target group of middle-aged men, which I definitely am, if I want to admit it or not, but it is the case, and that's clearly visible in the art, and that's a good thing as well, because these guys are still playing Magic the Gathering, and that is not something that excludes anybody else, but it's very simple. If a product has a certain main target group, it always has not only a primary but secondary and tertiary, I don't know what the English word is, but target group as well. And if the main target group is from a certain age and gender demographic, that's okay if that's the target group. I mean, that's how the whole consuming or consumer product world works. That's just the case. Doesn't mean that anybody is excluded. It's just more targeted towards a certain group, which is probably the main group that will be buying your product. So, yeah, I'm curious how that will develop. I think stuff like Lord of the Rings gives me hope because it looks very unique. It looks very different. Some sets, like I said, Kaldheim Ikoria gave me hope as well. I really enjoyed these sets. Some sets like this, I can enjoy certain cards. They are definitely still in there. If you look at Phyrexia or Brothers War or other recent sets, certain cards are definitely very, very cool and iconic. But a big part of a couple of 100 cards, it's just, yeah, it looks very much the same to me. Let me know what you think, folks. I can ramble on about this for another 10 minutes, but I think you get my point. I, again, do not want to offend anyone with this video. It's just my personal opinion. I'm very curious in what your opinion is. Let me know in the comments. Thanks a lot to all of you watching this video and having watched this video. And if you are around that late in the video, leave me a Yoda in the comments as well. That's our code word for the people who actually finish watching a video. And of course, thanks a lot to my subs as well and to my Patreons. It's with your support, I know, I repeat myself, but it's with your support that this channel can stay independent and I can say whatever the fuck I want here. And I think that's a good thing, because sharing your opinion in a friendly and normal way is definitely something we should encourage everybody to do, in my opinion. I hope you stay healthy. I hope you stay frosty. Have a great rest of the week, and I talk to you next time. Thanks for listening, folks. Bye bye.